So hey everybody, welcome to ARE Live. I'm Mark Tier, the founder and CEO of Black Spectacles. During our webinar today, we're going to be hosting a panel discussion on ARE testing strategies for English as a second language candidates. We have a few awesome guest speakers joining us to share their experiences with the licensure process as non-native English speakers, as well as their testing tips on how to overcome the language barrier. So it should be a great session today. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, Black Spectacles is the first ever NCARB approved online test prep provider for all 6 of the ARE 5.0 divisions. We offer comprehensive test prep for the ARE with lecture videos, practice exams, flashcards, and virtual workshops, and it's all available online. And with memberships available for either individual architects or firms, AI chapters, or schools. So you can go to blackspectacles.com and click ARE Prep to find out more information about our ARE study materials. And we are going to share a link in the chat for you as well. As a reminder, we've launched our ARE guarantee. We're so confident that if you use our expert membership to the fullest, you will pass the ARE. And if you happen to not pass, we're putting our money where our mouth is and paying for your retake. So to learn more about how to qualify for the guarantee, go to blackspectacles.com, and under ARE Prep, you'll find all the details on our ARE guarantee. As I mentioned, we have group memberships as well. So if you'd like to learn more about how you can get your whole firm on a membership and have your boss pay for it, you can go to blackspectacles.com and head to our pricing section. Our next ARE live broadcast is going to be on October 21st of 2021. We're going to review some of the most important concepts of the project planning and design, the PPD exam, and share some practice exam questions as we review a mock exam with Mike Newman. Today, we're going to be engaging exclusively on our online ARE community. So head over to that thread if you haven't already, and you can either click on the link I just shared in the chat box, or you can go to our community homepage and then look for that big button that says ARE Live. And then right at the top, you'll find the today's episodes thread pinned to the top. And what's kind of fun is everyone who posts in our thread today will be eligible to win a free Black Spectacles t-shirt. So head over to community.blackspectacles.com, and all you have to do is say hi. You don't have to write a fancy question if you don't have one. But of course, if you do, you know, we're all tuned in over there, and they're either going to answer the questions that you guys post in the community directly, or we'll pose them to our panelists today. And of course, don't forget to stay tuned until the end of the podcast to see if you won one of those t-shirts. Today, we have a special discount on all Black Spectacles ARE prep memberships on some of them to share and help you along in your journey. I'll provide a coupon code at the end of the show, so make sure you also stick around for that. Now let's turn to our guests. So I'd like to welcome our panelists who will be joining us today. Of course, each one of them is either licensed in at least one country or is on their journey to licensure. And for all of them, English is their second language. So let's talk a little bit about who's on our panel today. So first, we have Yvette Luca. Yvette was born in Egypt, where she is a licensed architect. She currently works at Nader Gubran Architect in South Florida as a designer and office manager. So welcome, Yvette.
Thank you, Mark.
Great to have you. Seichi Mori is our second panelist. He was born and raised in Japan. He's a licensed architect in Texas and is an interior architect designer with over 20 years experience in both the United States and international. Welcome, Seichi.
Thank you, Mark. This is Seichi. Thank you.
Great to have you. Finally, we have Jonathan Vijaman. And I'm trying to say your last name right, Jonathan, so please forgive me if I got it wrong. Jonathan was born and raised in the Dominican Republic. As a licensed architect in Florida, Jonathan has worked with AIA as well as NCARB. So welcome, Jonathan.
Thank you. And yes, you got the last name correctly. Very
awesome.
Well done.
Thank you. So thank you guys for joining us today. We hear all the time from our Black Spectacles members and other ARE candidates that support for non-native speakers taking the ARE is limited. So really looking forward to discussing your experiences today. So let's go to our first question. Or first discussion point. Yvette, we'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about your background, your native language, and where you are in the licensure process.
I graduated with a bachelor degree of architect from Egypt, and I am a licensed architect there. I'm registered, and I'm half done with my AREs.
Nice.
Three more tests to go. And my first language is Egyptian Arabic, and English is my second language. I learned English in school, and that's it.
Perfect. Thank you, Yvette. Seichi, tell us a little bit about your background, your native language, and where you are where you are in the licensure process. I think I know the answer to that one.
Yeah. So I'm graduate from University of Idaho from receive a Bachelor of Architecture. I'm registered architect at state of Texas just this month.
Congratulations, that's awesome.
Thank you very much. And senior designer, technical design, doing hospitality design. And I'm born and raised in Japan, and my native language is Japanese.
Got it. Thank you, Seichi. Jonathan, how about you? Background, native language, and where you are in the licensure process.
Yes, so my native language, it's Spanish, Dominican Spanish to be more specific. As anybody who's used to any other languages, there's plenty of difference between Spanish from different countries. I moved here when I was 12 years old to South Florida. Been living here ever since. So that's about 20 years or so. And yeah, I recently became licensed a few months ago in South Florida. So I went through all the process. Thank you. And that's where I am.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, very good. So now we kind of have the lay of the land here. We kind of know where our panelists are from, their languages, their native languages, and where they are in the licensure process. Let's move to our next question here. And let's see, we can start with you, Seichi. As a non-native English speaker, what has been your experience taking the ARE, and maybe what have you struggled with the most?
Well, first, the license exam is a difficult and long process. Everybody knows. Just knowing the 6 divisions need to pass is mind-blowing, but all need to know failing 1 division is not the end of your license process. Good experience and practice for retake or proceed to next divisions. So my most struggle is the speed to complete all questions and answered. As non-native, reading speed is slower, I think. To achieve the speed, I did one thing. I don't know one thing, multiple things, but the biggest thing is taking black spectacles practice exam over and over again. So I make a pace and set my time to complete in half. For example, for PDD or PPD exam is 4 hours, but my my target is 2 hours for the practice exam. So that's that prepares.
As you said, you used our practice exams to practice increasing your speed. Did I get that right, Seichi?
Yes, that's correct. So I probably take maybe 10 times for each practice exam to get to my pace.
Wow. Okay, that sounds like a impressive commitment to increasing your speed. I appreciate that, Seichi. Jonathan, what has been your experience taking the ARE, and maybe what's the number one thing you struggled with while doing it?
I think the number one thing, even after 20 some odd years, it's just remembering that this is something that's just English, right? So every time I used to read a question, I similarly, taking extra time, but also to remember the grammar of it, to make sure that I fully understood the question properly. So that was usually a challenge that I needed to remind myself to go back and read the question carefully and slowly.
Yeah. Is there an example of that, Jonathan, that you can maybe think of where you sort of had to reread something a couple times? Yeah.
Yeah, in particular when you're dealing with the sort of contract documents and kind of contract questions, when there's some sort of a setting, or when it's asking about the relationship between the client and the owner, and when it gives you a little bit of the history within the question, and you kind of have to really, first of all, determine what's really important within the question, within the prompt, and then try to figure out the sort of the relationship and logistics between the parties that are being mentioned. And there's a little bit of grammar that goes into that that's not quite the same in every language, and therefore it takes a little bit of a readjustment to it.
That makes sense. Okay, thank you, Jonathan. Yvette, how about you? What's your experience been taking the ARE, and then, you know, what have you struggled maybe with the most there?
My struggle was mostly, and is still mostly, the time, because I'm a slow reader by nature, and I still have to read the question slowly and over again to make sure I understood what exactly they're asking, because like Jonathan said, if you switch two words, it's going to make a whole different meaning. So I'm still struggling with time and reading the question several times to make sure I got exactly what they mean by the question.
Got it. Have you developed any, let's say, tricks or strategies for how to think about that time constraint being a pain point?
Yes, which is what I heard on Black Spectacles videos several times, is look for a keyword in the question and in the answer. So I remember that over and over again, when I run out of time, that I have to look for that keyword to kind of guess which is the correct answer.
Makes sense. I think that's a great strategy. Thank you, Yvette. So now with this, let's go to our next slide here, our next question. On test day, and let's start with you, Jonathan. On test day, was there anything about the experience that you had not anticipated? And if so, could you share about that?
This one for me was actually mostly a no, just because I was so involved within the AIA, so I got to listen to a lot of people and their kind of experiences before going to the actual site, and then I was able to go, the NCARB resources where I, practice on the tests. So I was fairly well prepared, and there wasn't a lot of sort of new information, sort of new things, except, I guess I would say just on the first time that I took it, it's just experiencing the physical location for the first time, seeing other people that are around coming over to take different kind of tests for themselves. But other than that, there wasn't really too much of a shock for me.
So that's interesting. Tell me a little bit more about, so it sounds like actually your involvement in the AIA had helped you navigate, and be prepared for the exam. What was it? Tell me give me an example, I guess, of how your involvement in the AIA helped you there.
Sure. So we organized a sort of ARE study sessions on a weekly basis where we go meet at one of the firm's office. We would be anywhere between 4 and like 7 of us for quite a long time in certain tests, so they were kind of ahead of some others, and so they would talk about, when they physically went to the location, how the check-in process was, sort of generally what their feeling was about the questions, some of the struggles that they had with the questions, tips and tricks and what to look out for. So, and I did that for at least almost a year, where we would have different people kind of giving their experience, and so, and all that was mostly through the AIA that I was part of, either organizing it or somebody else organized it that I attended.
That's great. That's great. Thank you for sharing that, Jonathan. Yvette, how about you? Was there anything about the experience that you had not anticipated?
What happened with me is I got disconnected several times. I took the test at home because I was just afraid to go to the center with COVID.
Sure.
So what I noticed is that I had to turn off my firewall before starting the test. So be sure to do that, because it disconnects the camera. Like, I would be listening to them, they can hear me, I can hear them, but they cannot see me. So that was because of the firewall. So just make sure to turn off your firewall if you're taking the test at home.
Got it. That's a great one. And I think along those similar lines, I think you can now schedule like a tech review of your tech setup before you take your first online version of the test, so that you can make sure your Wi-Fi is good and that your sort of room is good and your camera's good and like all those sort of technical details. Am I remembering right, Yvette?
Yes, that's true. And I did that twice before taking the test, and my firewall was on and I was not disconnected. But for
Oh,
some reason,
really?
during the real test, I was disconnected.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
Well,
tried twice.
yeah. Well, I know that they're certainly working hard to make sure that all the tech issues are resolved, and it sounds like they've made a ton of progress in since they launched it all at the beginning of 2021, which is good. Yvette, thank you for sharing your experience there. Seichi, how about you? Was there anything about the experience that you had not anticipated?
Yeah, only thing I can think of is between regular and the case study questions, there appear to be some pop-up, pretty much saying the next number of the question is the case study. But the practice exam doesn't have the pop-up, so I kind of surprised. What is this? Is that warning for end of the exam, or so that the only thing I can think of. Everything else is pretty much follow the practice exam, so that's I'm okay for everything.
Okay. I want to make sure we got that right. So before you started a case study question,
yeah,
there was a pop-up. Tell me about that pop-up. What was on it?
I think pop-up is just saying case studies questions starting. Do you want to proceed? Pretty much that it. But I didn't see it in the practice exam. So
I see.
Yeah.
Got it.
Kind of panicked. I don't want to be finished. I'm not finished the case study yet.
Got it. Okay, thank you, Seichi, for that one. And my team will take note of that actually to make sure we can get that pop up in our practice exam so that it's the experience is just the same. Thank you for sharing that one, Seichi. Going to the next question, Yvette, what are some of the study strategies you've used to overcome the language barrier for the ARE?
So I'm always Googling, like 100% of the time I'm Googling. I'm asking Google for everything, especially the expressions that I am not familiar with. Like a lot of things we say it in our common language in one way, but in the exams, it's a different word that I've never heard before. So I'm always Googling in English, not in Arabic. Like when I'm searching for the meaning of the word, I'm searching in English so that I can get my practice correct before the exam.
That's a great thought. Are you generally in doing that? Is it pretty much, are you having a lot of, is that a successful approach? In other words, are you always getting kind of the right answer you're looking for there, or the clarity you're looking for?
I'm not trying to get an answer by Google, like no, not all the time. It's the same answer, but I try to get the meaning of the word by Google.
Okay, and that's working pretty well for you. Is that right?
Yes, a lot of things I didn't know, I was able to read the meaning and, oh, that's what it means. Okay.
Yeah. Huh. It makes me wonder if those, it makes me wonder about those words that you might Google and the definitions. I wonder if there was even a way to like make flashcards about them. Do you find, Yvette, that you will search the same word multiple times over the course of your studies, or for you is it pretty much once you sort of Google it and get the definition, you pretty much have it?
Most of the time I already have it in memory. Like for example, precipitation. I didn't know that this means rain. So I was like, the word that we use in our everyday life, it's raining, but I didn't know it's precipitation until I Googled it. But once I know what it is, I'm like, okay, that's what it is. And next question, I know what they mean.
Got it. Okay, good. That's great. Thanks, Yvette. Seichi, how about you? What are some study strategies you use to overcome the language barrier?
Yeah, as mentioned before, take Black Spectacles practice exam, and also the our communities have a quizzes. So I took them multiple times with set time, and so I get my pace, so you don't have to keep watching my remaining clocks. So I know just to doing it, just know I'm doing speed wise is okay or not. So just practice and practice.
Okay. And you said you would take those practice exams through your Black Spectacles membership. You take them multiple times. I think we have 3 or 4 versions of each test.
Yeah.
You would take those tests multiple times. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. Because that really helps, because it's you have to read everything, and also you have to understand why this answer is correct, why is not correct. So even on correct answers, why this is not correct, so you can search it, or because it's a percentage is different, or so it's even if it's 100 questions, it's actually is more like 200 questions in there, because it's different answers.
I see. So what you did was, after you took the practice exam through Black Spectacles, then you went back and you reviewed every question and read, why 3 of the answers were incorrect and why 1 of them was correct.
Yes. So it's like one question, but you can make it 2 or 3 questions out of it.
Got it. Okay. And then Seichi, did you do something similar to Yvette, where you were Googling different phrases or words, or not so much?
I did also, and Google it. It's always Google it, and if I couldn't find it, I raise a question in communities that they will help us.
Got it. Okay. So to say that back to you, if you were not finding the answer via Google, then you would go into the ARE community and ask the question there to see if you can get the answer. That's a good idea. Okay. Yeah. Did you develop flashcards or anything? Maybe I'm making this strategy up, but did you develop flashcards on your own for any of the words or expressions that you were having trouble with, or was it the same thing as Yvette, where once you sort of read it once, you pretty much had it locked down?
I actually didn't make any additional flashcard other than the one in Black Spectacle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Beautiful. Well then, Jonathan, how about you? Some study strategies you've used to overcome the language barrier.
Yeah, I think this is another advantage that I had when I was studying, is that I had native speakers who were studying with me along the way. And so when we were reading questions, we would have discussions and I would interpret them certain ways. And then they would come back and say, no, it's actually this way because X, Y, Z. And so I had a lot of native speakers kind of help through the study groups that we had. But outside of that, when I was studying by myself, and I don't know if this is necessarily a native or sort of a second language thing only, but also I wasn't familiar with a lot of construction terms, and even construction adjacent terms were still not necessarily that natural for me. So a lot of the times what I would do is go through the vocabs on each chapter of what book I was studying, and then just look at the terms to remember. And so that also kind of helps to know what you don't know, and then you go and look for those definitions and what those particular terms are. So it kind of helps you along the way to also learn about construction terms.
Yeah, that's a great one. A great tip there. The study group idea I like as well. Jonathan, did you do anything similar? Well, let's see. Yeah, it sounds like your strategy for vocabulary was to use the resources that you were using to go in the glossary and so forth to find them.
Yeah, generally speaking, in some of the books they give you vocabulary words to look out for. One that I recently looked into is the NCARB monographs. Those kind of give you key terms at the beginning, I think, maybe at the end, and then it gives you those definitions right there and then. So that's also a good one to kind of look into.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so then I guess I wonder, Seichi or Yvette, did either one of you also pursue a strategy where you were using a study group with native English speakers, or not so much?
I did actually in the same study group as Jonathan.
Oh, no way.
So
Small
yeah,
world.
it was awesome. I miss it so much. I really miss it so much. It was a great study group.
That's awesome.
I'm glad.
Seichi, did you do anything as well like that, or no?
Actually, I didn't, but I use our communities. I just send typing questions clear out, and then all the coaches and the other people helping me to clear some of the unknown.
Yeah, that makes sense. So in a way, you use the ARE community
Yeah.
to sort of be your study group when you had questions and so forth to get support that you needed. Okay.
Yes.
Beautiful. Let's go to question number 5 here. And I'll stay with you, Seichi, here. Did you feel like certain exams were more difficult in terms of language compared to other ones? And if so, which ones?
It's all difficult.
Yeah.
But I think the first one, practice management, is only because a lot of legal word, and you have to read contract. Because in the real world, I only pretty much care the scope of works and those portions, but those contract, you have to, there are insurance things and also other legal wording is a little bit difficult.
Yeah. Even for native English speaking language folks, it's difficult. So I'm sure it's even more difficult if it's your second language. That's a really helpful thought there, Seichi. Jonathan, did you find the same thing or something different?
On the, I would say, like I said earlier, the construction aspect of it, sort of like the construction administration and the contracts.
Yeah.
That was the one that was. So I would agree with that. With Seiichi, so it's very similar to that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of something additional to add that's different, but I'm kind of on the same page.
I got you, man. That's all good. Yvette, did you find the same thing, or do you have a different experience?
I find all of them the same difficulty. I didn't take the PPD and PDD yet, so I don't know about those.
Okay.
But for me, they were all the same level of difficulty.
Got it. And maybe I'll circle back, Seichi, and I'll ask this question to all three of you. I'm curious if, and this relates to this question, I wonder if there was a specific order of exams that made sense or made more sense to you based on, English being a second language to you that sort of made more sense. In other words, maybe, from an English perspective, it was easier to take test A and then test B and test C. Did you find that to be true, or it didn't really matter?
I don't think it doesn't matter, but I think I figured out first first 1, 2, and 6 kind of together, and then go to 3, 4, 5. It's grouping together. So means I don't know I don't want to make a mistake in which name and name, but
I got you.
Yeah, first 2 and the last one, then the middle 3 together.
Got it. In the middle 3, I'm trying to find them all right now because I don't want to mess it up either.
Yeah,
so
I think programming analysis, PPD and the PDD together, and the rest of them together.
Okay. So, and is it fair, Seichi, to say that the reason you took them in those groupings wasn't so much because of English? Instead, it was more just about the strategy of the right way to take or an advantageous way to take the test. Is that correct?
I think more like, not the second language, go to second language, but it's kind of good similarities on those, first one, second one, last one, because of the contract and, so That's why I did it.
Gotcha. Thank you, Seichi. Jonathan,
Yeah.
how about you?
For me, I actually was one of those people that was able to do the 3-2 from 4.0.
Oh,
So my
nice.
strategy there, yeah, thanks. My strategy there for me was trying to get those groupings of 3 before I moved up to the P's and the D's. So that was really my strategy. I don't think language played too much of a role in deciding which ones to take first.
Got it. And for those of you who might not be aware of what Jonathan's talking about, it was, I believe, the middle of, no, it was the summer of, sorry, I'm forgetting. I guess it would have been,
2018,
yeah, I'm thinking,
2018,
I think they
2019.
launched, yeah, I think they launched ARE 5.0 in the end of 2017, and then they sunsetted it in, like you said, in 2018. So there was a time period where you could take 3 exams, if I remember right, 3 exams in ARE 4.0, and then you could take 2 exams in ARE 5.0. So you'd only take 5 tests, and you'd end up passing the ARE. But there was a bunch of there were some hoops you had to jump through, and you had to time it all right. So it sounds like, Jonathan, that was your approach, which sounds smart.
Yeah.
Sure, it was a
Because
pain in
I
the butt
knew
too.
a little bit, just to make sure, and I did it early enough. I think I was still, in school, finishing up some things before, to make sure that I signed up saying that, yeah, I'm going to be taking these things. So it was a bit of a gamble, but I knew that I was going to be retaking some tests anyway, so might as well
Yeah.
try to save one test.
Totally. And for those of you listening here, I don't believe that this is an option any longer. I'm pretty sure that it's not. But anyways, now, of course, it's just the 6th test for ARE 5.0. So thank you, Jonathan. How about you, Yvette? Was there a certain order of tests that made sense for you?
I followed the same order as Seichi, but
Okay.
it wasn't because of the language. It was because like everyone was advising the overlap.
Yep.
So that's why I followed this, and I found that it was true. They do overlap each other. For me, the contracts I wanted to start with, because I already studied contracts for other licenses. I have real estate and mortgage licenses.
Okay.
So I do have a background about reading contracts and studying them. So that was an easy start to give me like the push. So that's why I started with them.
Makes sense. I like that. So you're customizing your approach based on your experience, but also sort of leveraging the wisdom of those groupings that Seichi mentioned, which I've heard a lot of. I've heard a lot as well. So that makes sense. Let's go to the next question, which brings us to the end, I guess, of the discussion. And I'm going to check our ARE community to see if there are any extra questions. So by the way, if anyone has any questions they would like to ask the panel, please share those questions in our ARE community, and I'll share them here after this question. So Yvette, we'll stay with you. Any final advice for other non-native English speakers preparing for the ARE?
Don't be discouraged by any means. Just keep going on. It's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of devotion, a lot of time devotion. But just keep going. Don't get discouraged. I was so discouraged in my first test, but that wasn't right. Like, just keep studying. You're going to get them done.
That's awesome. Thank you, Yvette. Seichi, how about you? Any final advice?
Yeah, my advice is not only non-native maybe, but non-native English speaker, but for apply for all test exam takers. No, just to remember, goal is not passing only one exam. It's a 6 divisions. So if you fail one division, go next or retake. Yeah, just one fail is don't drag yourself. Just keep going for the next.
I love that, Seichi. Just keep going and don't get discouraged. Don't let one fail.
Yeah, and
slow
so
you down.
Yeah, so all divisions are somehow related. So my strategy is study all 6 of them first, then go back, each division to before exam. That's what I did.
Yeah, that's a great approach to make yourself familiar with all of the material first, at least in a simple level, right,
Yeah.
an introductory level, and then really dig in. I think that makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons. One of them is that I think there's a lot of overlap between the exams. Was there any other? What were the other advantages, I suppose, that you or benefits
Yeah.
that you got from that, Seichi?
Yeah, because so it since I studied all 6 of them first, so not much surprises. I found any unknown wording from other divisions, related to the other section. So I probably see most of the word before taking any of the divisions.
That's interesting. Okay, very good. Thank you, Seichi. How about you, Jonathan? Final advice for non-native English speakers preparing for the ARE?
I would say add many varied resources to your bucket of resources to pull from. Listen to any online resource while you're driving to work, if you happen to drive to work. Just kind of immerse yourself in it. Just listen, read, watch, even if it's just a few minutes a day. So if you can't read, or if you don't like reading, I know I fall in that bucket, then just listen to presentations, and it can be just how to install a solar roof. You just type in that YouTube and just listen to somebody installing that, and then you'll get something out of that. Of course, you can target it a little bit to your weak areas and a little bit more specific, but add to your resources as much as possible.
It's awesome, Jonathan, and really smart. There's so many great resources out there. Just to listen to that stuff in the background certainly helps. All right. Well, a lot of really good advice right there. I'm looking through our ARE community, and as I'm looking here, it's so interesting, the consistency. Purana Kamat is saying here, I keep Googling words for better understanding and make note of the ones that I think I might not remember. That sounds a lot like what we were talking about earlier. And then I'm looking here, where is it? Let's see. Yeah, Ignacio.mingo is saying, while reviewing many of the practice questions, I realized that while I might have known the material, I didn't read or understand the question adequately or some of the answers correctly, which I think, again, it sounds a lot like what we were talking about earlier. So sounds like a lot of emphasis on that extra time and that sort of double reading, or maybe not double reading, but the extra time you need to dig in to really understand what your question is and what the answers are. I don't see any new questions in here that I think we want to ask. So I think we'll take it from there and say thank you to everybody for tuning in. I really appreciate our guest speakers today, Yvette, Seichi, and Jonathan. I appreciate you sharing your experiences and some strategies and some advice for everyone who's listened today. I know that there's a lot of good tips in there that folks are going to benefit from. So thank you for sharing that. And again, I'd encourage everybody in our ARE community channel, if you want to create a new post and share what's worked with you or some of the struggles that you've had, I'd encourage you to write a post or respond to the thread we have going here. Really good to share experiences to help everybody else out as they're working through the exam. So as I said, thanks everybody for tuning in. As I mentioned, at our next ARE live broadcast on October 21st of 2021, we're going to review some of the most important concepts of project planning and design and share some practice exam questions with Mike Newman. You can go to blackspectacles.com/ARE-live to sign up for that. I mentioned at the top of the webinar, we've launched our ARE guarantee. We're so confident that if you use our expert membership, that you will pass the ARE, and if you don't, we will pay for your retake. So to learn more about how to qualify for that or to check out our individual memberships, you can go to blackspectacles.com to learn more. Also, if you'd like to learn more about how to get your whole firm on a membership, you can go to blackspectacles.com and go to pricing and firms to find out about that. The lucky winner of a Black Spectacles t-shirt is Prita B. So Prita, we will be in touch via email to get your size and shipping information. And just a reminder, if you'd like to be eligible to win a free t-shirt, next time post a question in the community during our next ARE Live. And of course, that's just for fun. Our ARE community is always buzzing. It's there for you to ask questions and find some community as you're working through passing the exam. So definitely poke around there and see what your fellow architects are up to and asking about. Feel free to search for questions, ask questions, or share any of your experiences as you've gone through the exams. So that's certainly a resource for you. This month, we're offering 10% off any of our 12-month memberships at Black Spectacles. You can use the code ARELIVESEPT10 to get 10% off any of our 12-month memberships. Keep in mind the coupon code expires before our next ARE Live. So if you're ready to start studying, you can head over to Black Spectacles right now and use that code at checkout. And then finally, be sure to stick around for a few minutes to take our survey and share any suggestions that you may have. I promise we really do read every word that you write and use them to tune our next episodes. So thanks for watching.